Good afternoon. My name is Mark Vandenberg, and this is my AEP 858 case study. When we look at the overview of Golden Oak High School, um, we first note that Mr. Rhodes is a first year principal and that his biggest task right now is to improve his school's attendance rate. In the past 10 years, Golden Oak was actually leading the district in terms of attendance, but right now they are currently lowest in the district with 85% of their students missing 10 or more days of school. Superintendent Dr. Newman's most urgent concern with Golden Oak is their school attendance, and she expects Mr. Rhodes to address and solve the issue with his staff. And after reviewing 5 of the 659 cases of students who missed 10 or more days of school following Christmas break, really important to note this is Christmas break, so roughly at the second semester or the second part of the year, Mr. Rhodes has discovered the school doesn't have a unified attendance policy, specifically regarding excused and unexcused absences in the cases involving marriage, church-related activities, traveling with parents, doctor-related injuries, sports-related absences, and students coming from families who are choosing not to abide by truancy laws. Our legal and ethical issues all should be aligned to the district policy, which is also aligned to the state policy, and that calls for excused absences only for illness, death in the immediate family, inclement weather, or a valid reason approved by the principal with prior approval. So any excused absence should fall under this umbrella. The state is trying to give teachers some leverage with this situation by allowing them to subtract 10 points from students' total number of points in the quarter after 5 unexcused absences. But is this the best way that we ultimately want to improve the situation and improve society? Because that is our goal as a school. We're trying to educate the youth and have them career ready. Are teachers seeking principal approval when approving these absences? If not, they're failing to meet their contract expectations. Teachers are excusing absences at their own discretion, potentially acting in a discriminatory manner. Teachers are acting out of state compliance by failing to report student absences. It's not a choice to report if a student is present or not. It's a breach of contract and state law. Teachers are addressing attendance problems without input from school administrators or counselors. We know that we have the case versus Prince versus Massachusetts, which define the state's prerogative as superior to parents when parents fail to provide for the welfare of their children. In our case, the state has the right to intervene if parents are not getting their school or their child to school. 1 of 5 students was labeled truant. Why only one? Why this particular student? To summarize, Golden Oak High School is failing their students and society by inconsistently abiding by state and district policies regarding the reporting of student attendance. We know that Dr. Newman is our student superintendent. We know that Mr. Rose is our principal. We know the cases of Karen, Tyrone, Christina, Carl, and John, as well as their parents' reasoning for the absences. We know the athletic director is involved. We know that the counselor's office was involved. The counselor's office was involved in the case of Karen when Karen's parents requested documentation, and for whatever reason, the counselor's office didn't get back. We know that Carl's case was referred to a truancy officer. We know that 2 veteran teachers are not reporting student absences regularly. We know that Dr. Newman requested that Mr. Rhodes work in conjunction with social services and the juvenile court system for improving this situation. I know the school is made up of 965 students from grades 9 through 12. We don't know how other classroom teachers are recording attendance. We don't know the school demographic in comparison to other schools in the district. We don't know if teachers are clear on the attendance protocols and policies. We don't know the parents' socioeconomic status. We know that this takes place at Golden Oak High School. We know that most families work in the metropolitan area, which requires a 2-hour commute each day, taking away time that they could be spending at home with their children. We know that Hispanic and Asian families recently moved into the community, making it more diverse. We know that the majority of the school body is made up of students who come from middle-class families. A small portion of students come from high and low-income families. We do not know where the school is located. We don't know the city or the state. We also don't know any prospective data regarding Golden Oak. We know the program has experienced teachers. It has a very low turnover rate. The school offers 11 sports teams, football being the most popular. We know that 31 different clubs are offered as well. And we know that last year Golden Oak was the lowest in the district for attendance. We do not know community perspective data regarding the program. We don't know the school's data system for tracking and monitoring attendance. We don't know the programs in place to assist certain situations, certain families who are dealing with issues. We don't know what programs they have to help them. And we also don't know the curriculums or if this is a private or a public school. When we review and prioritize information, the stakeholders include the students because a lack of accountability does not prepare them to do their best post-high school. We know that families have a stake because in some cases, families aren't even being informed if their child is at school or if they are not, which is a big safety issue. The school's perception in the community. We learned that the majority of the school is middle class, but they also have some high and lower class families as well. We don't want it to appear that we are treating families and students from different socioeconomic situations differently. We know that Mr. Rhodes has a stake because he's trying to prove himself as a first-year principal. Dr. Newman also has a stake as well because as the district intendant, all those attendance rates affect the district's overall attendance. So when Oak Hill has a poor attendance rate, it reflects poorly on the district as a whole. And the faculty also has a stake because the way they're operating right now, they're out of district and state protocols, which could lead to disciplinary action. The individuals who have a stake in the outcome would be the students, the families, the staff, and the community. Stakeholders who have been consulted have only been the principal and the district attendants. As of right now, the parents and the students, as well as the staff members, are out of the loop. I can and should learn more about this situation. How have other schools in the district improved attendance? We know that Golden Oak at one point was the highest in the district for student attendance. Now they dropped. Have any schools in the district who have a similar socioeconomic demographic, have they implemented any systems or attendance policies in place that Mr. Rhodes could use to improve his system? I also need to know why Carl's case was the only one reported to the truancy officers. Why is Carl's case handled differently than the others? And again, this is important for the school's perspective data. We don't want it to appear that we are treating some students differently from others. Options and consequences. Moving forward, option number one, you could keep the current system in place. Move forward as if everything is systematically okay with regards to how we log attendance and how cases of truancy are being handled. Option two, we could delegate the responsibility of determining an excused versus an unexcused absence to the principal, assistant principal, or school leader. This would require teachers to record the absence, then leave it up to a third party to determine if that absence is excused or unexcused. Option three, the families and the students who have exceeded the absences would be invited to a family meeting to discuss their child's attendance issues. Option four, the principal and administration team brings data to an all-staff meeting. Together as a staff, the team evaluates their system in place and makes critiques to improve their attendance protocols. When we evaluate the options, the pros of keeping the same system in place are really just avoiding change. Staff doesn't have to change, parents don't have to change, students don't have to change. The cons are the teacher administration could face consequences for breaking attendance laws. The perception data could take a big hit. Students are entering the workforce or post-high school life not as prepared as they would be if they were attending school regularly. And then the society isn't getting the best version of the students. Option two, the pros of delegating an excused versus unexcused absence to the principal or administration team. We're more likely to have an increase in accountability. The attendance most likely increases. Teacher bias is removed from determining if an absence is excused or not. The cons to that would be a more distant relationship between the teachers and families. If the administration is handling the attendance issue and the teacher's not gaining that strong rapport that they would be if they were working with the families through the attendance issues. It's a major increase in the principal workload that takes away a lot of time that could be used to improving students or teachers. And the possible outcome of teacher frustration for losing the power to determine if an absence is excused or not. Option three, inviting parents and students in for a meeting to discuss the attendance issue. The pros would be to establish a strong rapport with the families and the students. It provides an opportunity for families and students to share their voice. We may discover new trends as a staff to help us identify some of the underlying issues. And it could yield positive perception data. The community may look at this as a situation that gives students and parents voice. The cons would be no attempt really is being made to hold teachers accountable for documentation, and it's allocating a lot of additional time to host these conferences, especially with how many cases Golden Oak has. Option number 4, improving the system through analyzing data with the staff in a collaborative fashion. Pros: the attention will be drawn to the issue. It'll yield increased teacher accountability. It'll allow others to contribute to the change. And then new policies will also be approved at Mr. Rhodes' discretion. The cons: it takes power away from the teachers. Um, and families and student data, or I'm sorry, families and student input is not considered in option 4. It's solely the teachers and the administration. Option 4 would be the most likely option to improve student attendance and diminish teacher bias when determining if an absence is excused or unexcused. If Mr. Rhodes brings relevant data to the collaborative discussion, the staff and himself are in a position to make data-informed decisions. Staff input would be valued. All members of the staff would have the opportunity to improve the school community and increase student achievement, which is the goal. Even if the new system has flaws, at least all teachers would understand the clear expectations for documenting student attendance and for determining if an absence is excused or unexcused. Oak Hill would be operating under terms and conditions of the law, which they aren't now. Parents would also have comfort knowing the situation is being improved. Mr. Rhodes would also have a new attendance plan that he could present to Dr. Newman, proving that he is making an attempt to fix the situation. When the plan has been when the plan has been developed, all stakeholders will be consulted. Information will be sent home for families. Families and students will return a signed document proving they understand the new attendance policy, the procedures, and the consequences. Staff will also sign a document proving they understand the new policy and consequences for failing to abide by the new policy. And this is huge for Mr. Rhodes because this isn't a situation where he's being the bad guy in terms of delegating consequences. By improving this attendance policy, teachers are much less likely to be subjected to consequences by the law for documenting this information improperly. Mr. Rhodes first must gather the relevant data. With the data at hand, Mr. Rhodes has the information needed to host the collaborative meeting about the issue. The team will discuss the legal obligations of mandated reporting, the qualifications for determining excused versus unexcused absence, protocols for the communication, the current data system in place for recording attendance, and consequences for teachers and students for failing to meet these expectations. The new attendance policy will be submitted to the district board for approval. When approved, the plan will be written and distributed to families. They will sign proving their acknowledgement of the new policies, which is important in case these cases ever make their way to court. We want to have the documentation. A follow-up meeting with the staff will occur within the first month of implementing the new plan. The purpose is to check for understanding, answer questions, and take teacher input. We're going to implement data checks to analyze the effectiveness of our new system. We're always going to be willing to change the plan as long as it is in compliance with state and district protocols. Is our system improving student achievement and attendance? That's our goal. If not, we're willing to go back and change it as long as it's in compliance with the law. We will survey families to gauge their understanding and opinions of the new policies. And we will put positive incentives in place to celebrate student attendance as well as teacher attendance as a whole.